Very good afternoon, good morning, all of you. Thank you for joining us from across the globe. Hi, all. Welcome you again. This is part 2 of our fireside chat series with Arun Mehra. This session is tailored specifically for the accounting fraternity, CAs, CPAs, bookkeepers. You may be anybody having an accounting firm or part of a firm from across the globe, right? The important reason why we have this session is to explore outsourcing and offshoring, and that is with our expert Arun Mehra. In fact, to go into specifics, we are talking about accounting firms in India and APAC who want to explore and go global and tap into markets like UK, Canada, and US. And conversely, we're also talking about firms in North America and Europe who can benefit from offshoring services to access specialized talent in India, APAC, and the Middle East. Before we kick things off, let me give a short introduction about myself. I'm Cynthia, and I'm going to be your host for today's session. And I've had the privilege of working closely with accounting and finance professionals across the globe as part of my role with the Zoho Finance team. And we play a very small role in empowering this fraternity with the latest financial technology. If you joined us in part 1 of this series, we spoke about everything accounting firms need to think before making the big leap into outsourcing or offshoring world. We spoke about the mindset, models, myths, what they actually have to take in to become a global service provider. My colleague Reshma and Pal would have hosted that session for you along with Arun. Today, we're moving into a slightly different topic, and I'm hoping you're able to see my screen there. Please give me another thumbs up for that. Yeah, okay, perfect. So today we're moving into a slightly different topic, but very critical one, right? Which is technology. Because we hear technology adoption everywhere that's going on, right? But choosing the right technology is important, and also ensuring that it integrates with your current firm without breaking your current workflows is very, very important for an accounting firm. So, and we've titled this session, Automate Your Accounting Firm, Pick and Invest in the Right Tech. And we've got a beautiful expert speaker for that. For those of you who don't know Arun, I'm going to introduce him, a very short intro. Arun is a chartered accountant with over 23 years of experience from PwC London, and he's played senior roles in the banking sector. And to top it all, Arun is the founder of Samera. Samera is a global accounting firm, and that's right at the intersection of one, offshoring, the other is outsourcing. His team is based both out of India and UK, and they serve clients, across the globe. So that's a very short intro, Arun. I hope I did justice. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us here.
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I've never been called beautiful before, actually. So I'm very honored to have that.
Beautiful, not for the, probably for the expertise that you have, Arun, but yeah.
No, I'll take it in the other way, though. So,
Okay.
but so thank you. Thank you for the intro. And as you rightly pointed out, I've been in this industry a number of years, 20 odd years. And you're correct, I trained with PwC. I weren't into banking, but my most recent history, which is more than over 20 years, is actually running my own small to medium-sized accounting firm. So I've seen it all. I've got all the experience, got the t-shirt, made the mistakes, continuing to make many mistakes, but from mistakes comes experience, from experience come answers, okay? So I've got a lot to be able to share, hopefully today, to some of your attendees.
Absolutely. Probably our insights are going to be both beautiful and smart, okay? So let's deep dive right in. So, Arun, I think we wanted to start off with a poll, right? It's something similar to the first question here. The first question is, what are the common mistakes accounting firms make when adopting digitization? So what we thought was we could start off with a poll so that the same question can be answered by our listeners themselves. And then from there, we can take best practice insights from you. Pal, thank you for helping me with the webinar. Can you host the poll, please? You should all be able to see a poll published right out there for you. Are you able to see that?
Yeah. Like it's two of the main options there, aren't there? To integration issues.
Okay, so the top one is integration issues. About 50% of them have answered that. and too many tools to choose from. About 33% have chosen that. We also have unsure of ROI as 14%. Interesting. Well, that gives a perspective, Arun. So I just wanted to add some context to this. So there is technology adoption noise that's going on everywhere. Sometimes accounting firms may do the mistake of digitizing as a whole, right? Not going by phases, but the entire system. What might end up happening is there might be integration challenges, or it might overwhelm the team of the accounting firms. So given this context, and of course the listeners who've answered us, they've given those three choices. What are some of the common mistakes that you think that you've seen accounting firms make out? And you can talk about both worlds, right? Which is the US, UK, and of course the offshoring firms in India and APAC.
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia. I think I just look at my own experience here, I think, and I think this mirrors many firms globally. I think you're right. You go to an accounting meeting now, there aren't many accountants selling you anything. It's usually technology people providing answers. And a lot of them are selling not the same product, but similar products. So it's like, oh, which one do I go with? Okay. And the trouble is once you choose a product, you're kind of committed to it, and to unravel that. And if it's not the right product, to unravel that is actually quite a difficult exercise and a costly exercise. So that's an issue, a mistake that I've certainly made. Okay. In addition, I think the main point here that people have raised is integration with existing. I think this is something that's going to come more and more of an issue further down the line with AI and everything. I think most platforms, accounting platforms or software platforms, haven't really been built with AI integrated at all into it. And I think now they're not native AI platforms. So a lot of them are trying to integrate AI into their business, but integrating AI into their platforms is actually quite difficult, rather than starting with a blank sheet of paper and starting from scratch. So integration, I think, is going to be a big issue. And maybe what will happen, people will move away from some products and start with a new product, a native AI product. I don't know. Okay. So, but I think the big mistake, the biggest mistake most firms make is not getting involved with technology. Okay. And that's not even on the list. Okay.
Right.
I think a lot of people actually wait and think, oh, I don't need it, it's too expensive, it's too time consuming, or all these types of things. Honestly, if you're not adopting technology now, oh my God, you're probably too late already. I'll be honest, in my view. Okay. You have to be doing it. And so the way I kind of believe is that immerse yourself, learn, see, watch videos, go to events, talk to people, get demonstrations, and then start thinking, how does that figure out and work out in my business? And if you're not a very techie person, get someone in your team who could be a techie person to support this. But I think that's honestly, it's not on your poll list here, Cynthia, but there's so many firms in the UK, I know in the US in particular, okay, where the take up technology is honestly like snail's pace, okay? And whereas countries like Australia are much more advanced, okay, in taking up technology, but places like America, you would think America would be at the forefront. Honestly, in the accounting space, they're probably right at the back, behind places like India and other places. So, yeah, it's not fear it, embrace it.
Absolutely, Arun. I think we were speaking about Scaling New Heights, right? The recent largest accounting show in the US. And having had conversations with some of the accounting professionals, it was, I wouldn't say surprised, I would probably say shocking to see the siloed systems that they have, right? So they have a different system for practice management. They have a different solution for payroll. They have a different solution for accounting. And some of them are still on spreadsheets. And if it's a small accounting firm, they think that with 5 clients, with 10 clients, spreadsheets is enough. But then, like you say, if they have to scale globally, technology is very, very important. Arun, just follow up to this question. What was the first mistake that you did when you set up your offshoring firm in specific to technology?
Good question.
Sorry,
I think with respect to the offshoring side of things, it's, well, I recall actually recently that we maybe about a year ago, we were trying to implement some type of practice management workflow system, okay? And we'd done some research on it. The salesman was a good guy, nice salesman, very good. But when it came to implementation, okay, the team was struggling with it. It was taking up too much time. The salesman wasn't there anymore to support us. It was just the support team wasn't there to support you. And then that was like a bit of a disaster. Okay, so we ended up canceling and just going back to what we had previously. So my take on that, if you're going to go down the route of technology, make sure the support structure is there in place as well. I've seen it time and time again when you can have a great looking product, but if there's no one to support you to implement it into your firm, that could be a problem just that will come further down the line.
That's a great start, Arun. I think an important takeaway for all our listeners from the first question is, while digitization is being chosen to be adopted, I think implementation is key as well. So user-friendly applications, that can be adopted easily by the team and by the company is very, very important. Great. Going on from there, Arun, the second question for you is, what was your decision-making framework? I'm keeping Samera as an example itself, right? So for example, you would have chosen your own accounting firm's practice management solution. You will have a separate solution for your clients for accounting. And I know you're a lot into marketing, so you would have chosen something for marketing as well. So what was your decision-making mantra probably when you were evaluating, and what is it that you would advise to our listeners?
Yeah, good question. I think one of the things is that the softwares that we choose, they always have open APIs available to us, okay? So we can integrate between platforms through, whether it's through something like Zapier or whether we have developers involved who can actually connect up. That's one element that we always put high up our list. But I think also cost is also definitely an issue, okay? We want to make sure that the ROI will be there. And the danger with software quite often, especially software as a service, is that you see it says $10 a month, but then suddenly if you need 50 people using that, suddenly it's $500 a month. That's like, oh God, that's a significant investment. So you got to really understand who needs it, what's the purpose for it, what's the business case for it, and then will I get an ROI on it, and will it improve the efficiencies of the firm? So I think ROI is important. I think integration through APIs is important. I think user experience is important. But one of the things I do, I'm part of various accounting groups and networks and WhatsApp groups and communities across the globe, okay? And people are always asking questions, what do people use for this? What do people use for that? And you get different opinions here and there. So sometimes there's software I've never even heard of, but, let me check this out. Let me see if it solves a solution. And that's kind of how, so don't be afraid to ask the question on communities. Don't be afraid to ask the question on any of those aspects, to be honest with you. Okay.
Very good, Arun. You mentioned about integration here. So that's going to be my next question, if I'm not wrong. So especially when it is offshoring and outsourcing, right? The firms are going to be remote, right? The client is going to be in the US or UK, and the offshoring firm is going to be either in India, APAC, Middle East, which means we're miles away. Time zones are different, cultures are different, and all of that. So in that case, collaboration between the teams is very important. And of course, integration between the technologies are very, very important, or the different functions is important. So how do accounting firms ensure that this new automation or the tech stack that they choose integrate smoothly, number one, and also does not disrupt the current workflow, and of course ensure that there's collaboration between interdepartment, intra-department, etc.
I think the technology platform that you opt for has to have something that's universal, that is used in both markets, or is familiar in both markets. I think that's firstly the important between UK and India, etc. That goes without saying, okay, but this goes back to people, really. I think it's a culture of willing to work with each other, a culture of willing to learn from each other. That'll eliminate most of the problems. Okay, sometimes there will be issues with technology, but it's more about how you handle those situations. I've seen it where it's gone completely wrong, where it was kind of imposed on people. A change or an offshoring solution was imposed on people, and there's resistance in one market, and the other team are trying to engage, and no one wants to work together. And you can have the best technology stack in the world, but if the people aren't working together, it's going to be a pointless exercise. So I think get the people on board first, okay, and then figure out, have you got the right technology? If you haven't got the right technology, roll out a technology that works across both markets. If training is required of people, train them, and it's not a one-off training, it's an evolving beast training, and engage, okay? And at the end of the day, it says that even though technology is there, we're a people business. Accounting is a people business, and working together is the key to this.
Absolutely, Arun. Did you face any of these as well when you started out Samera? Because I'm sure you use different technologies in the UK versus in India, and maybe some others for your clients as well.
Yeah, we did, but I think luckily I suppose it's fortuitous, I guess, when we started out that we'd chosen platforms that were familiar in both markets. So at the time when we started out, we didn't really realize, okay, it was just luck. So we didn't really, especially on the accounting side of things, we didn't really find that as an issue on the accounting kind of platforms. There are other platforms that we use on the marketing side of things that people didn't know, maybe in India, but we've trained them accordingly, and they've picked it up relatively swiftly. And I think everything now is so, I think, again, especially on the marketing side and the tech side of things, is one of the huge strengths of the Indian market is that you've got a young, literate, technology-enabled workforce, so who can pick up things very swiftly, much quicker than, say, someone like myself who's much older. So that's a huge advantage as well.
Moving on, Arun. To start, we spoke about this, right? Either you can go full out, which is end-to-end complete tech stack, or you can go face by face. When we talk about accounting firms, I'm sure you'll have a client onboarding team. You will probably have a business development team. There will be a marketing department. There will be a taxation department and all of those, right? So which areas of those should they start automating first? Should they start looking into the marketing side and get the leads inside and look at marketing technology, or look at the client side? Get their accounting tech stack first, or it can be any other department as well. So which ones that do accounting firms start with?
Yeah,
it's especially for early wins, Arun, especially for the smaller ones.
Yeah, I think for the early wins, and I think the onboarding side of things, if you can get that done relative. So one of the things that it's the software that's used here in the UK. I'm not sure if it's in India, but it's called Ignition, okay? And that was a automation of our whole onboarding and signing of engagement letters and billing, okay? And that changed my firm massively, okay? Because before we'd have to issue engagement letters on DocuSign, get people to sign it, and then start issuing bills, and people waiting for people to bill. But now we issue engagement letters out. People have to put their bank details or credit card details in straight away. And only then do we start doing the work. So that saved manpower. In a small firm like mine, it suddenly saved 2 people's work, which we didn't really need, and automation did it. And we were getting the money. So for instance, our debtor days dropped to 0. We don't do the work now until we have the money, okay? And that was a major shift. Some clients didn't like it. Fine. If they didn't like it, they went elsewhere. But how we wanted to run our business in an efficient manner, that worked. So that was a real winner for us on the accounting onboarding side of things. I think the other side of things, where on the marketing side of things, we've used there's so much technology that's out there. I'm trying to think where do we start? It depends how you classify what you classify as technology, but from a CRM point of view, we use Zoho CRM as an example to capture leads from our website, okay? And then we go through the process of lead management through the Zoho. And again, that's streamlined the process rather than it going to Excel or Google Sheets. It's made it easier for people to visualize and then have all the contact details and follow up on the leads management side of thing. So again, but that Zoho, for instance, has an open API, and that links through to our website, which has the form and all the information goes in there. As another great example. So I don't know if there's areas that you should do first, but start with something that's time consuming, okay, and which looks relatively simple to do. If you do that first, that will get you some quick early wins, and then you can start thinking, okay, I've done that little bit, what's the next bit? I think the bit that will happen over the coming weeks and months and years ahead will be things like AI-driven bookkeeping, that will take over. Okay, that will be an automation type of first thing that which is already starting to manifest, and no one's got it quite right yet. But ourselves, we're developing tools, hopefully, to do that alternative internally ourselves. So there's all these things that which are very exciting.
Sure. I think in India, we've had this conversation a lot, Arun, maybe in the WAFA event as well. We met some of the accountants still have their email on, a personal, personal account, not on a domain, right? Gmail or Yahoo or things. So one of the common things that we see and tell them is start off with an email too. Right, with an email technology, because that's going to show you mentioned that on your previous chat as well, as to how you can look more organized, more professional, is start off with a mail, like a Zoho mail or whatever. In some cases, we've seen people that if they have any billable projects, they start with projects and then they get into another solution. So, something for the project-based solutions. Or like you said, accounting, for you, accounting was easy, right? Because you were in the accounting world. So you started off with an accounting technology as well. So, or they start with accounting and then they move on to CRM, etc. So somewhere, I think the crux is they have to start, right? Like you rightly pointed out on the first question, they definitely have to start. Now, having said that, we can also hear from the listeners, Arun. We have a poll on the same question. Pal, maybe if you can launch it for us. Let's see what their thought process is in terms of, which areas they should automate first. Okay, result. Okay, still going. While you're giving your poll answers, there is a Q&A tab, so feel free to share your questions on the Q&A window and Arun can pick them up just after the session. Okay, interesting choice. Reporting and analytics, about 36% of them have chosen that. And there is an equal split between bookkeeping and reconciliation and task and workflow management.
Interesting. So yeah, that's an interesting result. And I think that's kind of reflects kind of my thinking as well. I think automation of reporting. Okay, so there's so much software out there now that can tap into Zoho's, for instance. I know Zoho has a Zoho Analytics example. It's a great example, which we've used ourselves, and you can use that to present reports, present findings to clients. That's a great example. Bookkeeping and reconciliation, as I mentioned earlier, this is something that we're working on internally. Is that honestly, I think within the next 6 to 12 months, AI will take a lot of the heavy weight off bookkeeping and reconciling. Okay, if it's set up correctly, that's an easy win as well, and that will change the market fundamentally. Personally, I think in terms of accounting, and the job opportunities of things as well. I think task and workflow management. Yeah, that could be practice management. That could be anything really, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the one that's interesting, client communication and onboarding, is a very low percentage here, but I think onboarding, as I said, engagement letters and stuff, we've kind of done that aspect of onboarding. But I see ourselves in a world, and this is something, again, we're trying to develop ourselves, and we haven't got it quite right yet, where we can create our own avatars, and those avatars are then just talking directly to clients through AI contact or content, which then ultimately is talking to the client, and the client gets their job done. And it's not actually the real person doing it, but AI. It's an AI-driven avatar of you. So this, I'm envisaging a world, and this is where we're nowhere near that yet, but I'm envisaging in a world where honestly you could just have a very tiny little firm, tiny number of people in your firm, but you could have so much business because technology is doing it all for you.
Very true. In fact, the client onboarding has got very few results, and that is worrying, because this whole business or the industry that we're talking about, offshoring and outsourcing, is all about clients, right? They're going to onboard clients, they'll have to serve clients, which means technology for that is very important. Probably a key takeaway that we'll have to take back is a lot more noise in that forum, right? While accounting and bookkeeping is like the forefront, because obviously this is a finance domain. And then, like you said, the task and workflow management was on the top. Client onboarding was nowhere on the poll in terms of answers. So that's slightly worrying, but I think we should start thinking about that as well in terms of technology.
I see that as I want to be, from my perspective, I want to increase the revenue per employee in my firm, okay, and then as a data metric. And the way to do that is to automate the onboarding and the client communication, and because then your team members are freed up to do the thinking and the work behind the scenes, and the technology is driving everything else. So that's kind of how I see it, and that makes me excited. So innovation is key.
Completely agree. The next one. So we've been speaking about. So some of them look at AI to be a boon. It can be a boon or a bane, right? It depends on the perception of how we take AI. While I believe AI can complement in the ways that we do things. It can help us increase our productivity. Like, for example, the thinking can be done there. Some of the formatting can be done with AI. We can get frameworks from AI, etc. So I don't think it should give anybody fear. But then there is this fear after the arrival of AI in the market that we can see. So how do you think that accounting firms should train their team to use AI productively, without any fear?
I think you have to embrace it, period. Okay, don't resist it. It's available to everybody through a browser or a phone, and whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you want, Gemini, use it, try it out, play with it. Some people will use it more than others, but I think honestly, I genuinely think, and I've been in this game a long time, I haven't seen technology like this that will fundamentally change how accounting firms work. Okay, and the idea is that people who fear it are the people who aren't embracing it. Okay, and there will be job losses for those people who don't embrace it, because they're not moving with the times. Those who embrace it, I think, will honestly probably run the most successful firms out there. Because I said earlier, you can use technology to do so much of the heavy lifting in your firm, and therefore you're just dealing with the other aspects, the advisory, the more interesting aspects, the higher margin items as well. So I think that's where it gets really exciting. So if I look at my firm, I've encouraged everybody to use AI. We've got AI voice recording for meetings. We're using AI to now create our own kind of structured data in a way that hopefully eventually we'll be able to interrogate that data to provide answers to clients and to the team. We're building our own knowledge base with all the content that we're learning and questions that people are asking. So before you know it, it's all very exciting. And I think there's no right way of training your team to AI. Just jump in with 2 feet and get on with it. That's my bottom line, to be honest with Cynthia.
Very true, Arun. I like the AI transcript part, like you said, right? Meeting recordings, and it gives you a meeting summary. I mean, it's just like that. And we use AI, to get quick turnarounds in terms of, it can give you teasers in terms of videos and all of that. So I don't find it to be a threat. In fact, it complements your day-to-day job, as long as you use it wisely. Of course, there is, especially in marketing, there is plagiarism, there is accuracy, all of that checks that you have to do in terms of, leveraging ideas from AI. But yeah, you should embrace it and not look at it as a threat, for sure.
Correct.
Arun, most of the accounting forums out there, one of the common things that I hear are adoption. Adoption is the buzz, right? We can talk about technology, we can talk about that's the buzz right there. There's a lot of noise and everything, but then when it comes to migration, when it comes to actual adoption of the technology, there is always this resistance to change. Let's be very honest, change management is half the job, right? While people will want to take the step forward, there is always this resistance because of something or the other. It might be complications, it might be a complex framework, or like you said, it might be because of negligence, or the staff not willing to, upgrade themselves or train themselves. So how did you get your team's buy-in when you, approach new technologies? And what is the advice you would give to the new accounting firms here, especially for their staff? How do they get the team buy-in?
Yeah, great question. I think anyone who tries to impose technology on anyone, they're never going to get the buy-in. It's never going to work. Okay, the technology push or drive has to come from the team. So I think that the way I did it, and I do it, and I believe in, is that you have a conversation with the wider team. So we're looking to introduce technology for XYZ. Okay, these are the options we're considering. Why don't you all work together, have a look, come back to me in a month's time, tell me what you think we should do and where we should go. They then feel empowered that they're part of the decision-making process. If you get them to feel that they're part of the decision-making process, and then when it eventually happens and it works, it gets implemented, they'll feel proud, they'll feel part of it, and they'll feel that they've been heard. It's when people aren't heard, that's when resistance comes and upset comes, and that change management is a nightmare. It doesn't mean that it will still be plain sailing. Like the recent one where we did, as I mentioned earlier, we did this whole process, but what it came to at the end of the day was fundamentally the technology was flawed. Okay, and that was kind of, that would only ever be evident once we actually started using it. But the team buy-in is get the team in early, get them to be part of the decision-making process, and get them to kind of get at least one or two team members in it to be a real sponsor of it and a real supporter of it to drive it through.
I think inclusion is very important, right? For them to feel empowered that, they have been part of the decision-making is... Thank you, Arun. That's a nice take. I'm sure you did the same thing. I've met most of your team members, and each of them lead their own roles in different functions, and I can clearly see that they own the technology that they use in that particular department. So yeah, inclusion says it all. Great. Quick housekeeping. So folks, if you have any questions, feel free to drop by the Q&A tab. Arun can answer it right after the session. Arun, financial data is very, very confidential, right? Because an accountant gets access to the P&L, balance sheets. In fact, they know the health of the business, and they're supposed to advise based on the health of the business, the future budgets, etc. So one is financial data. Second, with today's GDPR and other privacy laws, individual data is important as well, as to where we store them, how are we using them, etc. And when there is this remote structure, different between thousands of miles of, offshore and outsourcing firms, how do they ensure data privacy and security in this particular domain?
Yeah, good question. So I'm no data security expert, but I've employed data security people to provide me with the right thoughts, technologies, and policies to have in place. In our instance, I know all our data resides in the UK for everything. Team members overseas that access it, but the actual data is residing here in the UK. But I think more importantly, it's more about training this team members. That's the key thing, okay? To make sure they're not they don't respond to phishing emails. They question anything that looks questionable. They are trained regularly about the spam attacks and the hacking attacks and that type of thing. And then also, when we're even hiring at that point, we're checking the integrity of the people, their backgrounds, criminal checks, all that type of stuff. We need to make sure that that's happening. Okay, that's because the biggest weakness in all of this, in data security, ultimately boils down to people. Okay, you can have the best system in the world, the most secure policy, secure technology in the world, but if someone is looking to cause problems, or someone is negligent in that respect because they weren't trained properly, it's down to people 99 or 95% of the times, I believe.
Along with people, I think when they hire technologies for whatever they want to do, that privacy check with the technology is important as well, right? I mean, the technology should also adhere to the data privacy guidelines in terms of, security and data privacy. Because today, at least as far as I know, accounting solutions and finance solutions will have to adhere to the data privacy and security rules across the globe. That can be GOBD Germany or GDPR UK, and also firms which are in the US, which have headquarters in the UK. They should also adhere to GDPR. Similarly, in India, ISO certificates. So rightly pointed out, first, it's people. And second, whatever that we hire in terms of tools, I believe that they should also be adhering to these guidelines.
Sure.
Thank you, Arun. Sorry. Yeah. So, Arun, yes, automation is needed, but for this kind, I mean, you're a people person, right? So for this kind of industry, it is a people business, right? You need to be in touch with the personal relationship with your clients is very, very important. Networking is very, very important. So what is the right balance between technology and automation and human touch?
Yeah, I am a people person, but I'm a huge believer in technology as well, Cynthia. And you cannot scale a business if it's all centered around you or one or two or key people. You need the technology to enable that. So as an example, as I mentioned earlier, you can have avatars of yourself potentially, which then do the talking for you. That's a scalability. Now, would that ruin the human touch side of things? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on how well it is executed. But at the same time, I think I saw a post the other day on LinkedIn where some Indian CA, and he was takes calls from clients at 11 o'clock in the evening. Okay, and I'm thinking, why are you doing that? Well, what's the point of it? It's like clients are just demanding so much. I responded saying, well, you cannot. People don't own you. Okay, if he had an avatar there, okay, in place, the client can call his avatar. The avatar deals with the question because the avatar will know enough about his information through AI. The client's happy. The accountant's happy because he hasn't actually had to speak to the client. He can go to sleep or do what he wants to do at 11 o'clock at night. So I think we are in a 24/7 world. People do want answers quickly, but the only way you're going to do it in a way that saves your mental health, okay, without having to answer calls at 11 o'clock or midnight on a regular basis, is to automate.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. This reminds me of a funny incident because we're all based on different time zones and we're expected to immediately respond. I think that's a mindset change that we need to have, right? We are not disconnected from our phones at all. Every single time something comes up, we are prompted to respond to it. So maybe that's a takeaway for me. But yeah, thanks, Arun.
Turn it off. Turn your phone off, Cynthia. I know you work multiple time zones, okay? But just me as someone who's got much more grey hair than you, okay, and has experience, is that
I'll get there soon. I'll get there soon.
Yeah, no, you're nowhere near it. You'll never catch up with me. But if you're just for your own well-being, because then you'll be a much more productive team member as well, because you've had the rest, you've had the break, and then you can respond when you need to.
I know. I remember pulling you for this kind of a session at 4 o'clock from Canada,
Yes.
which is contradictory.
Yeah, I do. You're right. Actually, it's very early, wasn't it? But
yeah,
those are rare occasions. Okay.
true. I agree.
Yeah, but and that wasn't a client per se. It was a nice to do a webinar. I like doing these. I love doing these webinars. But it's when a client is just on your case at 11 o'clock, odd hours. It's like, oh, sorry, but call me during the working day. If you can't call me during the working day, don't call me now. Okay. If you want to speak to me now, here's my avatar. Let him talk to you. See you later. Bye-bye.
That's a good one. I mean, yes, they are clients, but like you rightly said, I think there should be a balance on the demand, right? On both sides. Yeah, this question it brings me back some memories. It's about digital maturity. So in my past stint, I had this opportunity to work with one of the very renowned analysts out there, and we created a digital maturity index, Arun. So we created that for enterprises, for them to come and fill in their data and say where they are, right? They can be a beginner or intermediary or, an expert. You would be surprised, some of the large organizations out there, like how your US news that you rightly told me now was a surprise to me. In that survey, some of the large organizations didn't even cross the intermediate level on digital maturity. And the reason for that is because this technology is an ocean, right? Digitization is like an ocean. There are so many things that they have to explore into. Some of the basics have not been met as well. So keeping that in mind, when an accounting firm in the US or UK choose their offshoring partner, this side, right? How do they assess the digital maturity of an offshoring firm? What are the criteria before even they sign their agreement with them?
Yeah, interesting question. I'm not sure the firms here in the UK or US are that, I suppose,
digitally.
Yeah, that enabled to actually realize there is a digital maturity index in the first place. But I think as you said, the interesting thing is that I think the large players have a legacy systems, they have legacy process, they have legacy mindsets. Okay, so it's the smaller firms who are nimble, who can adapt and change things. But eventually, those smaller firms may turn into larger organizations who might have the same problem that current large firms have as well. But in terms of assessing, I think we're now at a point where what's happening in India is reflected here in the UK. What's happening in the UK is reflected in India very clearly. Much of the technology that we see today, okay, out there, not necessarily only Zoho, but other technology, it might well be an American product, or is actually probably being developed in India, or part of it has been developed in India. Okay, right. So therefore, I suppose the accounting side of things accountants are still slow, conservative, and just want to see how what firms are doing in India. So to my surprise, okay, it was interesting. At our last event we did in Delhi at the Global Summit.
Yep.
It was a good learning curve for me as well, because I was seeing some younger guys than me who were using Zoho, using other products I'd never even heard of. Okay. And I thought we're quite well advanced in the UK, but some of these guys are in their 20s, early 30s. It's like, Christ, these guys are well ahead of the curve. They put anyone to shame in the UK or the US, okay? And that's because goes back to the mindset of the younger person who's picked these things up, seen it on YouTube, trying it out, very technology adept. They may have worked in overseas previously or not. They might have even been based overseas or not. They've seen these things. And therefore, sometimes I think some of the Indian firms are well ahead of the curve of many of the UK or US firms, way ahead. Not all, I'd only say a small percentage, but some are very well ahead, okay? I'd say the vast majority aren't, but there are some that's like, whoa, these guys are smart. And we met some of them last time back in Delhi, so.
Yeah, one of them was developing RPA and the other was AI. So yeah, Arun can say all this, but then if you guys don't hold me accountable, then maybe we should flip the question, right, Arun? How can the offshoring firms actually assess for digital maturity there? But yeah, I think what we're trying to say from this question for people to take away is both of them should assess their digital maturity and see where it matches, right? Even if they are different solutions that they want to use, they should meet somewhere in the middle. And that's how the agreement is going to take place. So yeah, it's a good one. What are some of these capabilities should you look for, Arun, in an offshore accounting partner, right? For example, should they already be on cloud? Should they already have a tech stack? Like when a client from the UK or US chooses an accounting firm in India or Middle East, what should they look for in them? Should they be in cloud? Should they have an accounting or?
Honestly, they need to be well established in terms of the technology platform. So they need to be definitely on the cloud. They need to be using multiple softwares that are available in the UK, US, everything. They need to have a technology kind of focused firm on this. They need to have, I think, people who understand the industry that people are working in as well. I think that's a really important thing, because if that's not happening, then that's a problem as well, because industry knowledge is very important. I think honestly, the more the offshoring firm has under its belt, the easier the decision to be made by the individual firms in the UK and US. Yeah, so I think it makes sense to, and that's why I suggest to any offshoring firm that they have to learn, immerse, come and see the technology. So a great example, again, these guys who came to the event in Delhi last December, many of them came to the Accountex event here in the UK a few months ago. Nice. And I met kind of quite a few of them. I told them to come and straight from Delhi or Mumbai or wherever they were coming from, Patna, all these places that people came, and I met with many of them. And I think the big learning curve for many of them was that, wow, there is so much technology out there. Let me learn about these different types of technology products, and let me try and learn some of these and take them back to India, pick the skills up, train my team, and then we're going to be ready in this software, and then we can then promote our services as experts in a particular software.
Makes sense. I think, yeah, most of them from Delhi. I see some of them actually scaling globally. So just for the benefit of all, for people who are attending here, Arun hosted a global outsourcing and offshoring summit in Delhi last year, December. This was a very closed room event with about 40 plus accountants who wanted to be part of this initiative. And from there, so they all wanted to start somewhere. And from there, we had 4 to 5 people actually starting to scale globally. And I think some of them came to the UK accountants as well to meet with Arun. So that's what we're talking about. Sorry, I should have given the context long back. Yeah. So good. So this specifically to add on from this question, Arun, do firms in the US and UK insist on a specific solution for the offshoring firm to follow? Like, for example, if they are comfortable with a particular accounting solution or any other practice management.
I think, sorry to interrupt you. So I think that great question. I think quite often or not, the software solution is dictated by the UK business, UK firm, okay? However, if the Indian partner can identify savings or better opportunities or better software, most UK or US firms will think, wow, okay, I wasn't even aware of that. If that's going to save me money, save me time, save me X, Y, Z, they'll be receptive to it, okay? So I think historically it's a transitional process. Get the business from the UK, US firm, get them on board, work with them, understand the processes better. Once that's occurred, then you can think, okay, how can I help these clients better? What can I transform?
Sense. Makes a lot of sense. I see a raised hand by Manjula. Manjula, please feel free to ask your question on the chat window. You can use the chat or the Q&A tab. Yeah. Good. I'm going to put you on spot. Arun, I didn't plan for this question, but I'm going to put you on spot. You use a number of technologies, and I think you've mentioned about Ignition as well. So you might, I mean, you're a marketing person. While you are into the accounting domain, you have this love for marketing. So definitely you'll use a lot of solutions for marketing, maybe for content writing, maybe for business development, or for your client onboarding, your accounting solutions, etc. So if you don't mind sharing what technologies you use, I mean, whichever you're comfortable with. I mean, if the
I'm trying to, you put me on the spot here, Cynthia. I'm going to think of all the options of what we use. So we use, what do we use? So we use, as I said, we use Zoho for CRM, okay? We use Typeforms on our website to capture people's information. We use, our website's a WordPress built. We use Beehive for emails and newsletters, okay, which is a good platform. We use, I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I use AuthorUp for LinkedIn to help me write my posts. It's just a platform to make it easier for me to write. I have a YouTube channel as well, which we use vidIQ to help optimize the YouTube channel. Kind of, what else do we use? We use WhatsApp as a community building platform. What else is there? What am I missing? I'm sure I'm missing something here.
I'm learning a lot as well. I mean, these vidIQ, I've not used them.
Yeah. We use Zapier for integrating lots of things, putting different platforms together, so we don't have to copy things to do together. I'm just trying to remind myself, because I have to pay the bills each month, so I remember what bills that come through. We use Calendly to schedule meetings, okay, as an example. I know Zoho has their own product as well, but we use that. We use Zoho Analytics. We've used Zoho RPA in the past. We are using ChatGPT now for LLMs. We're using Gemini for kind of large language models as well with Google. We are, in terms of, that's kind of most on the marketing side of things, I think.
You've built your own LMS now, right? Like a learning management, like a course as well. I'm sure you.
Yes, we're building our own course system. That's all powered off the back of WordPress, actually. So it's almost ready to launch. To be honest, we haven't done that quite yet, but we will be in the next week or so. Yes, we do that. Those are kind of the things that come to mind. I think that's kind of the main ones from off the top of my head.
Thank you. I've made notes. I'm sure the listeners notes as well. I didn't want to sell Zoho here, but thank you for mentioning Zoho multiple times. Like whatever solution you name it, there are 65 applications in Zoho,
You've
right?
got everything covered. You've got everything covered.
Yeah.
But I'm late to the party on many of these products when I'd already implemented some of these, and so now the idea of switching makes it more complex. So, but at some point we are adding new Zoho kind of products as we go along, because we're always seeing that, oh well, they've got a solution for X, so they've got a solution for Y, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of solution out there.
Yeah.
But thank you, Arun. I think the questions that we wanted to ask you are almost there. But for the others here, I wanted to showcase this event. So Arun is conducting one more event, similar to what we did in Delhi. Again, this is Going Global Mumbai. I hope you can see my screen. This is happening on the 2nd and 3rd of August in Marriott Andheri. This is going to be an extension of what we spoke. What you're seeing today is just probably a 1 or 2% of what global outsourcing can do as a domain, right? This will be a 2-day event, like a workshop, with different courses, different trainers coming and talking to you about marketing, accounting, AI, what technologies you can use, etc. So if you're interested, feel free to scan the QR code and register for it. Thank you for bringing this forum, Arun. I think when we started off this in early December, there were very few forums out there in terms of offshoring and outsourcing, and you are one of those influencers creating these for people either on LinkedIn or offline and things, right? So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I've just put in the chat the link to the event there, and there's also a discount code if people want to apply it, only up until the end of this weekend. If you use the word global, okay, you'll get I think a 15% discount off any tickets if you're looking to come along. So yeah, that'd be great. I think what we're building on is from our last event where we learned a lot, but we saw a lot, and I think we'll be talking a lot more on AI. We'll be talking a lot more on leadership and culture and team. We'll be talking kind of a lot more on digital marketing. So my colleague Chris, who's our head of marketing here in the UK, he's flying over to Mumbai. It's his first trip to India, so he's very excited to share his knowledge to Indian CAs as well. So we've got a real great, interesting range of topics to cover. I'm not sure if 2 days is enough, but we'll try and pack as much as we can in that event. And I've put the link there to the event. But one of the other things I'd love to just quickly highlight, Cynthia, is our WhatsApp community, which is very, very popular with CAs now. We've got several hundred of people on it. I'm just trying to get you the link.
Please share it on the chat.
Yeah, I'll share this on the chat. I'll share this on.
Sorry to interrupt, Arun. While Arun is trying to find the WhatsApp link, I wanted to say one interesting takeaway for me from your Delhi event is I think we had 2 solid case studies of accounting firm founders coming and talking about their use case, right? They said how they started, how they've grown global. So that was an inspiration to a lot of these people who joined us at the event. And one of them was completely into the accounting and bookkeeping realm. The other one was into the accounting domain, but more into staffing and recruitment. So that was a learning for me as well, where staffing and recruitment is another industry or another channel as part of the offshoring and outsourcing domain. So I'm sure this time also you have case studies, right, Arun? Do you have people coming and talking?
Yeah, we do. And it's going to be a kind of a, we've got internal case studies, we've got other people coming to talk. So it's an exciting event actually, and over the last 6 months, I'm getting more and more knowledge about the Indian market and understanding where the gaps are, where the potential opportunities are, but also where the problems are. So I think for people with the right kind of who are keen to learn, we certainly don't have all the answers. I have to stress that now. But if people who are curious, wanting to understand, the people who it attracts are people who are quite fast forward thinking, and they want to share ideas, explore other ideas. And that's kind of one of the real benefits I think we found from that event, is that the people who did attend last time were quite developed down the way, and they were willing to share their ideas, share their experiences. And that's how you learn. Maybe something from the event, from me or someone else talking, but quite often through your peers as well. So that was a really great aspect to the event as well.
Absolutely, Arun. Thank you for that. I know we're at time, but probably we can take a few questions. Before that, if you have any questions in regards to Samera, or if you want to join the Samera community, feel free to contact Praju. Praju is part of Arun's team, and he's been helping us a lot in terms of this collaboration. So that's his email ID out there. Now let me open up the floor for Q&A, Arun. We do have a few questions here, so I will start off with, okay.
Sure. One thing, Cynthia, just to everyone in the chat tab, I've added 3 links there. One is to our WhatsApp community. So if anyone wants to join the community, please do. Okay. We do share ideas, events, thoughts on that. It's totally free to join. We have a free newsletter, and that newsletter now we have, I think, almost about 2,500 subscribers on that. And we write probably 1 to 2 articles every week about accounting, about AI, about going global, about all that stuff. And I have to say, our best content is on our newsletter, personally, I think. It doesn't get, I do share some of it on LinkedIn, but there's a limit what you can do, but the newsletter has a lot. So sign up to that. Again, that's totally free. And then, of course, I mentioned my YouTube channel. Slowly but surely it's growing, okay? And we're adding more videos on there. So please do subscribe to that channel as well. So I think you can gain, again, totally free. Again, all this stuff is free resource for anybody who's interested. So anyway, sorry, back to your question. Sorry.
No worries, Arun. I think non-gated content is not very popular, but you are giving that now. And when I say not popular, it's not easily available, right? Most of the content today is gated, and I think most of Arun's content are non-gated, which means it's free. So feel free to read that and learn more about outsourcing. Thank you for offering that to the community. There are people here who are asking this very common question, Arun. Is there any collaboration opportunity for new folks with Samera? And we've seen this question right from our first webinar, Delhi event, and I'm sure in Mumbai as well. So please feel free to share about the community that you're building, Arun.
Yeah, so yeah, this is an evolving piece, to be honest with you, Cynthia. It's like I've been overwhelmed by the amount of interest by Indian CAs wanting to connect. Even this afternoon here, I live in Surrey. I've got 2 Indian accountants from Gujarat coming to see me here, okay, all the way to seeing me in Surrey, meet me for lunch later. So I just know how much interest there is. Again, I'm limited by the amount of time and availability and bandwidth I have to be able to help, but I think there's a few ways that we can help. So one of the questions that someone's highlighted, is there a course that we can help to outsource a business? You know what? You've asked a really good question. We actually have this course which is being developed, the technical side of UK accounting and tax. We're actually developing that right now. That will be on our website, hopefully in the next month or 2, okay? So watch out for that, okay? In terms of collaboration, we are collaborating with CA firms in India now. 2 ways. We see ourselves as a bridge, okay? Samera as a bridge. One of the really interesting things that's happened, kind of by luck, I guess, but maybe it was in the back of my mind, is that the UK and India have signed a UK free trade agreement in the last month or so. And that will increase trade between the UK to India, but also from India to the UK. So what we're seeing now is that I'm working with Indian firms who have Indian clients who want to enter the UK market. So we are supporting those Indian firms with their clients to get into the UK market with company setup, accounting, tax issues, all that type of stuff. And we're supporting that. And the way we do it, we take the client on, deal with it, and we pay a fee or pay a percentage of the fee to the Indian firm. That's one example. The other way is we've got Indian firms, not India, UK firms wanting, or UK businesses wanting to set up in India. Again, we help those companies set up in India. Now, they might have a specific requirement to set up in Rajasthan. Honestly, I have no idea about Rajasthan, but I'm affiliating with a CA firm in Rajasthan who can help. Again, they benefit, we benefit, the client benefits. So we're seeing this kind of traffic. It's quite small at the moment, but it's increasing. And I see this as definitely one area of collaboration. The other area of collaboration, which is kind of what we started off already with, is the potential of, if a UK client needs an accountant, a bookkeeper, tax person who can do the work, we can then allocate, we can deal with the client here and say, oh, we've got a CA firm in Calcutta who can do this for you. So we're working on that. This is work in progress. We've been building a platform to that. We're almost there with it being built. Yeah, so that's kind of quite exciting. Then I know there's also a message from Manjula saying, I'm coming to Bangalore literally very briefly, so I won't really be able to meet in Bangalore, but I am going to Coimbatore for a few days. So if you want to come to Coimbatore, I'm sure we can find a slot in the day to meet up. and then I'm obviously coming to Mumbai. But Mumbai will be the perfect opportunity to meet up, not just to meet with me, but I've got 5 or 6 of my team members there who will be attending, marketing people, other accounting people coming to the event, so you can explore and learn from them. It's going to be a great event, very exciting to share experience, share knowledge. So yeah, Matt, hope that clarifies it.
Bangalore, we've been discussing about Bangalore, Arun. There's a lot of demand for Bangalore. In fact, on the chat, Mr. Vinay has asked as well if there'd be a similar event in Bangalore, because there is a huge accounting fraternity in Bangalore and in and around the suburbs of Bangalore also. So yeah, Arun and I
that may be our next place. We've done Delhi, we're doing Mumbai. Bangalore could be the next. You're right, Bangalore is probably the next option. Okay, so it's just a matter of time and bandwidth, and if my wife will allow me to travel to India again and again and again.
Maybe you should bring her along.
Oh, she'd love it, but the trouble is we've got a daughter, so she needs kind of looking after. So that's always a challenge. But at some point, she said, "I'm coming with you." So
yeah, there's one more. So it's quite detailed. I'm going to just read that for you. I could remember in your last session, you mentioned something around a quick training program for accounting practice owners. And I also see you have something coming up for dental practice recently from Mr. Abdullah.
So going back to that question from Abdullah, we are developing accounting knowledge training, okay, and that will be available, as I said, maybe over the next month or so. In terms of the dental practice, that's not really relevant to accountants, that's relevant to dentists, so that's not really applicable to any accountants.
Yeah, I have one for you. So how can accounting firms gauge if they're underutilizing the technology or not, Arun? I mean, they already use some tools. How will they know if they're actually adopting it completely or if they're underutilizing it?
Yeah, that's a great question, because sometimes you buy a tool and you might just use it for one thing, but there are so many other aspects you haven't used. Yeah, it's great. I'm guilty of that myself. I'm trialing out some new email software at the moment, some AI email software, and it's costing me a bit more money. I thought it would automate my life and change my life, and honestly, it hasn't at all. Okay, it's just another thing that I don't need, I think, which is quite evident. But I thought I'd try it out. So in terms of checking on your ROI, is it going to work? Honestly, it's simply as that I don't have an answer for this one. I think the only way to do this is that if the benefit outweighs the cost, even though you're not using it, then you'll keep continuing to doing it. Okay. And if you can enroll other team members to use it as well, then the value really comes, I think, much greater.
I agree. Manjula, I think you had a question on how you can contact for Coimbatore Meet. Praju, the detail that I shared, maybe I can go back and share that slide. So feel free to reach out to Praju from Arun's team, or Arun is very active on LinkedIn too, so you can get connected with him. This was great, Arun. I mean, it's always nice talking to you and getting insights. And I know you love addressing an audience with, especially in this particular domain. So thank you for this. We have actually gone past by 6 minutes. Thank you to all the listeners for joining us. If they want to, of course, know more about this, they can always come to your Mumbai show. And we are planning to do other events as well along with Arun. There is going to be a part 3 to this fireside chat. We will be announcing it on the Zoho Books handle. So we're going to be announcing part 3 as well. Probably by next month, we'll have another chat with Arun again like this on a very interesting topic on this particular domain of offshoring and accounting. But until then, thank you for signing. Stay tuned with Samera's handle, Arun, and of course, Zoho. Thank you all, and wishing you all the very best for this journey on this outsourcing and offshoring. Yeah. Thank you, Arun.
Thank you, Cynthia, and lovely talking to so many people across the world. Thank you. Have a lovely day.